Okay. Uh, Part two of this Washington Post article on how the Obama campaign in 2012 used Facebook and social media data mining. Okay. The next goal was to create a program that would allow everyone, campaign staffers in Chicago, state directors and their staff in the battlegrounds, field organizers, volunteers going door to door, and volunteers at home to communicate simply and seamlessly. The Obama team wanted something that allowed the field organizers in the Des Moines or Columbus or Fairfax offices to have access to all the campaign's information about the voters for whom they were responsible. They wanted volunteer leaders to have online access as well. That brought about the creation of Dashboard, which Messina later said was the hardest thing the campaign did, but which became the central online organizing vehicle. It was enormously complicated to develop, made all the more difficult because the engineers who were building it had never worked on a campaign and did not instinctively understand the work of field organizers. Some of them were sent out to the states briefly as organizers to better understand the needs of those on the front lines. Dashboard is what we need to communicate, Dylan said. It was all about the users. So if the users didn't have a good experience, there was no point in it. That's why it was the holy grail. Reed described it as a way to bring the field office to the internet. When you walk into a field office, you have many opportunities, he said. We'll hand you a call sheet. You can make calls, you can knock on doors, and they'll have these stacks there for you. They'll say, Harper, you've knocked on 50 doors. That's great. Here's how you compare to the rest of them. But it's all very offline. It's all very ad hoc, and it's not very modern. And so what we set out to do was create that offline field experience online. I love seeing that that communist sign for the 2012 campaign. I just love it. Reed said that near the end of the campaign, they received an email from a wounded Afghanistan war veteran who was in a hospital. He was logging into Dashboard and participating in the organizing effort the way any other volunteer walking precinct was doing. Reed was astonished by the message. He said, I could have quit that day and I would have been satisfied with my role. The Obama leaders not only wanted all the lists to be able to talk to one another, they also wanted people to be able to organize their friends and family members. This was taking a concept introduced in 2004 by G.W. Bush's reelection team. The notion that voters are more likely to listen to people they know than to paid callers or strangers knocking on their door, and updating it to take advantage of new technology, namely the explosion of social media. Early in 2011, some Obama operatives visited Facebook. Here we go. Where executives were encouraging them, Facebook executives were encouraging them to spend some of the campaign's advertising money with the company. We started saying, okay, that's nice if we just advertise, Messina said. But what if we could build a piece of software that tracked all this and allowed you to match your friends on Facebook with our lists? And we said to you, okay, so and so is a friend of yours. We think he's unregistered. Why don't you go get him to register? Data mining to figure out who's registered and who's not. And or so and so is a friend of yours. We think he's undecided. Why don't you get him to be decided? And we only gave you a discrete number of friends that turned out to be millions of dollars in a year of our lives. It was incredibly complex to do. But this third piece of the puzzle provided the campaign with another treasure trove of information and an organizing tool unlike anything available in the past. It took months and months to solve. But it was a huge breakthrough. If a person signed on to Dashboard through his or her Facebook account. The campaign could, with permission, gain access to that person's Facebook friends. Through the app, you click and give them permission, whether you understand it or whether you don't. The Obama team called this targeted sharing. It knew from other research that people who pay less attention to politics are more likely to listen to a message from a friend than from someone in the campaign. If somebody came to me and told me how great Obama was, I'd have told them to take a hike. The team could supply people with information about their friends based on data it had independently gathered. The campaign knew who was and who wasn't registered to vote. It knew who had a low propensity to vote. It knew who was solid for Obama and who needed more persuasion and a gentle or not so gentle nudge to vote. Instead of asking someone to send a message to all of his or her Facebook friends, the campaign could present a hand-picked list of the 3 or 4 or 5 people it believed would most benefit from personal encouragement. Digital director Teddy Goff told my colleague Aaron Blake, for people who allowed us, we were able to say to them, all right, you just watched a video about registering to vote. Don't just share it with all your friends on Facebook. We've run a match, and here are your 10 friends on Facebook who we think may not be registered to vote and live in Ohio, Colorado, Virginia, Florida. This was especially helpful in trying to reach voters under age 30. This is their army, 18 to 30. And now they're using younger than that, now as we see in the gun debate. On Obama's target list, the voter file contained no good contact information for half of these young voters. They didn't have landlines and no other information was available. But Goff said 85% of that group were on Facebook and could be reached by a friend of a friend. Reed described another example. Someone interested in health care might click on an ad on Facebook, and up would pop an infographic about healthcare. At the end of it would be a share button, and if the person clicked on it, names of friends the person could share the information with would appear. The campaign knew from its own database which of these friends were most likely to respond to information about healthcare. We went through and we looked at all those friends and found the ones that were the best matches for that specific piece of content, Reed said. Now we get to Google and Eric Schmidt. Google's Eric Schmidt, who offered advice to the campaign, said, if you don't know anything about campaigns, you would assume it's national. But a successful campaign is highly, highly local down to the zip code. The revolution in technology is to understand where the undecideds are in this district and how you reach them. That was what the integration of technology and old-fashioned organizing was designed to do for Obama in 2012. And a picture of an iPhone displaying an Obama 2012 election campaign application. Let me see where I am. Okay. I'll cut this. Be back with part 3.